Hello and welcome to Z News. If you follow the automotive industry, you must have heard about a term called semiconductor. Now, this is a very small chip with a very big impact on cars, and you must have heard about the impact it played on the automotive industry the past couple of years. So what is it exactly about this chip that makes it so special? Well, I have with me Dr. Andy, who is with the CSA Catapult, to talk about semiconductors in detail. I'll start with the basics. What is a semiconductor?
Oh, a semiconductor is an advanced device. It really controls the data flow through a car, like the navigation. And actually, as we're getting to electric vehicles, semiconductors are now actually controlling the power through the vehicle as well, taking the power from the battery to the motor to propel the vehicle.
So, in short, semiconductor is a chip that gives the power, the electronic capabilities, and the intelligence to a vehicle.
That's exactly right. There are actually quite a few different types of semiconductors. So some of them are specialized for electronics. Some of them are specialized for intelligence, and some of them are specialized for power. But that's exactly correct.
If you can just define me, what are these semiconductors? I remember you mentioning about the silicon semiconductor as well as the compound semiconductor. What role they play in the electric vehicles?
Yeah, within the electric vehicle, so predominantly the semiconductors that drive the electric vehicle forward tend to be compound semiconductors.
Okay.
We're talking about combining silicon and carbon to make silicon carbide, or combining gallium and nitrogen to make gallium nitride.
Okay.
And those semiconductors are important because they extend the range of the electric vehicle.
Well, if you can tell me, how did the impact played when the semiconductor shortage happened during the COVID period?
Yeah, sure. And in some ways it was quite complex, because what's happening with the automotive industry is we're getting more and more semiconductors into the vehicle. If we roll the clock back maybe sort of 30 years, there weren't that very many semiconductors.
Right.
Now vehicles are very complex. The navigation systems, the audio systems, etc. And really what happened during the pandemic was some kind of not particularly complex chips became on short supply. They predominantly were silicon semiconductors rather than the compound semiconductors, but it had affected the production of a vast range of vehicles. So maybe a $30,000 vehicle was stuck in production because somebody couldn't get access to a $30 chip. I think what we're starting to see is really what happened during that shortage is it sort of shone a spotlight on the complexity of the supply chains.
Okay.
And what we're now starting to see is countries realizing how complex those supply chains are and starting to build extra capacity and making themselves more resilient.
Can we see a time where semiconductors will be replaced by something more modern? And if not, then what are the chemicals that we can see in the future semiconductors?
That's a very interesting question about the future direction of semiconductors. I would suggest that silicon will be around for at least 50 years. I can't see it being replaced in that sort of time frame. Right. I know it's been around since the last 50 years, but it's got another 50 years of life. But what will happen is we're starting to see the demands of semiconductors getting much harder and harder. And silicon can do certain things very, very well, but it can't do other things. And this is where compound semiconductors come in. So in order to do navigation, we need compound semiconductors. Right. In order to do power transfer in the electric vehicle, we need compound semiconductors. And we're going to need compound semiconductors for better communication. If your vehicle is traveling along and you want to communicate while you're traveling, you're going to need compound semiconductors to do the communication.
Thank you for talking to Z News.
It's my pleasure.